Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Studying Business webinar brought to you by ESCP Business School and SRT Fairs. My name is Svetelina, and today it is my pleasure to welcome three very interesting people from three different countries who have either worked or studied with ESCP and have traveled the world. I would like to welcome Manon Delispier, Gianluca Tineo, and Yara Farhad. How are you doing?
Good, thank you, and
Hello,
good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, thank you so much for joining. To our audience today from so many different countries, I believe you're here because you want to study business and you want to live in different countries. So I'm very honored to host today ESCP, known as the oldest business school in the world. Before we proceed to the presentation, I would like to remind you that we have a chat at the right-hand side of the screen where you can ask our presenters your questions today, and we'll get back to you at the end. So without further ado, I would like to welcome once again everyone and pass the word to our presenters today. Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Lina. Hi, everyone. So I'm really happy to be here. So as Lina said, I'm Manon. I recruit for the Bachelor based on the Berlin campus for ESCP. I joined the team in February, so I'm almost as new as you could be. And I'm really, really happy to start this presentation now. So you already know us, so I won't dwell on it. Thanks, Guy, for attending this session with me. So ESCP, as Lina said, we are the first business school ever created in the world. We actually celebrated our 201 year this year in 2020. And actually, for the story, we remained the only business school in France for almost 50 years. And we started our expansion in Europe in the 70s. To reach the number of campuses that we have today. So today we have 6 campuses dispatched all across Europe, Warsaw being 5 of them being for the Bachelor and Warsaw for the Master programs. So we are recognized nationally and internationally accredited, which means that if you do the Bachelor and you get your degree, you basically can work afterwards, or you can pursue your studies in master, like in postgraduate studies, with this degree, and you will be recognized. So I won't, you can find the rankings, the news, and everything on our website, also on our brochures. But it's always important to know that not only the Bachelor is recognized, but also because we've been, since 2020, we are the first Bachelor in France by Le Parisien, which is a famous newspaper and rankings review in France. But we are also recognized all across the world for the other programs. So it's a big achievement. We are working hard to achieve those goals, and also for the students to get more and more visibility throughout their career. So it happens that we have some questions from families and students, like why would ESCP create a Bachelor of Science in Management in 3 years, and maybe not a BBA, Bachelor in Business Administration, in 4 years? The management decided that, ESCP decided that for several reasons. The first one is that in 3 years, you actually get the same work experience and the same quality and excellency of education than in 4 years. So you actually get into the market earlier than the students doing a BBA, and you get a full experience, practical and also academic. So that's the first point. And also, a Bachelor of Sciences, it also emphasizes on some topics. I would take as example, like for instance, science. It means that everything that is math related, like economics, finance, economics, are really a great part of this program, because right now it's always been important throughout the times. but it's even more important nowadays, especially given the new trends, the digitalization, a lot of IT jobs and all. So it makes it really important to insist on those core competencies. And we also, which is really unique with this program, is that we blend those topics with interdisciplinary subjects like social arts, a lot of group projects, which is really that you can actually find in anywhere else, besides the fact that you change campus every year and you change country every year. This is unique as far as I know. We've never heard students saying that they saw that anywhere else. So those are the main things that I can highlight to you now about why ESCP chose to do a Bachelor of Science in Management. Now you tell me, okay, 3 years, 3 countries, but can we go into details maybe? Yes. So in the first year with the Bachelor, you have the choice to go to London or Paris campus. In the second year, you can go to Madrid or Paris or Turin. And in the third year, you can go to Berlin or Paris. Of course, you're not going to go to Paris year 1, year 2, and year 3. You have to change. Otherwise, it does not make much sense. And now some specificities about each track. So the first year, you don't have to speak French, so it's fully taught in English. In the second year, now it's a little bit more specific. So if you choose to go to Madrid in the second year, we will ask you for a B1 level of Spanish before you start the program, because 2 classes are taught in Spanish. So you're gonna be taught. You're gonna have Spanish lessons classes in semester 2, and then semester 3, 4, and so on. But you need at least a B1 level. And same goes for Paris. If you choose Paris the second year, you will need a B1 level in French this time, but for the same reasons, because you have 2 classes in French for the second year, so you need the basics and to improve them with us at school. And Turin is fully in English, so you don't need to speak Italian before you start the program, but you can learn Italian if you want, of course. In the third year now, there is a big thing that you need to know and remember, is that, so in the Berlin campus, if you choose Berlin campus, you don't have to speak German. You will learn German in semester 4, 5, and 6. Of course, if you're a native speaker in German, you won't have to follow the classes, and you will get to pick another language. And if you speak the 5 languages, some do actually, you can also choose Russian and Chinese classes, if that is your wish. But Paris now in the third year is a very specific case, and you need to remember it. And if you have questions, of course, we can answer them later. But Paris is fully taught in French, so we require at least a C1 level before you start the program, or you're a native speaker. But it's fully taught in French, so you cannot, if you don't have a fluent level, you cannot follow the classes. Besides, it's a work and study program, which means that when you start the third year, you work 3 days at the company, and then 2 days at ESCP, and then 3 days at the companies, 2 days, and so on throughout the year. So that's what I could tell you about the tracks. Yes, we are in June, and we start the recruitment in winter. So as you can guess, the year is the admission season is well advanced. So right now the London campus is full, and the Madrid campus is full as well. So we might be able to put some people on waiting lists, but as of now, that's the latest updates that we have. some campuses are bigger than others in terms of capacity. So yeah, we are victim of our success, I would say. Now, I won't read this slide because it's big, but just to give you a hint. So the 3 years have their own subjects. Of course, if you study, for instance, in London, you're going to get the same classes as the students studying in Paris in the first year, just the campus that is different. The topics are all compulsory for the two first years, and you don't have a compulsory internship between first and second year. You can choose to do one of it 8 weeks, but given that you are kind of young and also it's hard to find a company willing to hire you for only such a short period of time, usually our students, they choose to do a social project, like to work in a non-profit or humanitarian project, or they choose to go to everywhere, like to travel to see their friends, because you make friends from many nationalities in the program, and so it's always nice to go and see them during the summer, because you get like 4 months at the end of the first year. So it's entirely your choice. It's flexible. Now, between the second and the third year, you have to do a 3 months internship that is compulsory. It can be in any company, anywhere in the world, any department within the company. We just ask you that it's a real mission, related to the program, and it's not like going in the Bahamas and do some surf or serving coffee in the company. You really need to have a true mission within the company for this internship. In the third year now, it's a bit more specific, because you can choose elective topics during the year. You also have a business game, and you write the thesis as well to validate your degree, which means that if I go to the next slide, this is the global standard breakout of 1 year, and you can see that first and second year you finish in May, and you start the internship in the second year in June. But in the third year is a little bit different, because you finish classes in March, and then you work on your thesis, and then you start your internship, and then you graduate. So it's a little bit different for the third year. So you see that across the 3 years, you have at least 24 weeks of internship to validate your degree. It can be more, but it cannot be less. So that's prerequisites. So which means also that at the end of the third year, as I said earlier, you are employable. So you can actually start looking for a job, or you can just pursue your studies. I won't go into detail for this slide. We have a really competent career service. We also have a platform to look for internship or jobs. The career teams are really efficient. They can help you and counsel you on many subjects, especially CV check and so on. So they are very, very present in the student life, and you can of course consult with them anytime during your stay at ESCP. Now maybe you have this question that what can I do after this bachelor? Because yes, if I'm employable, I do some internship, I can pursue my study. I'm not too sure. So now the bachelor is kind of the Bachelor of Science in Management is a young program at ESCP, but so far across the latest cohorts, actually almost I would say 2/3 of the students decide to get into things and to start their active life. So they look for a job, or they start for their own company. And 1/3 decide to pursue their study into postgraduate programs, masters, and others. in partners universities. So it's your choice. And some students know when they start the program that they will do one or the other. Some don't. And maybe Yara will talk about it later after the presentation. But from testimonies that we get, many, they don't really know when they start the program, or they have an idea, but then throughout the years they change their opinion, they change their mind, and so you get some time before you really decide. So you know these names, I assume. I said earlier that you could actually the job that you can get can be anywhere in the world, in any company. So that's how we prepare you during the bachelor. We have alliances with many companies. This is a topic that is really covered by the career services. So, but of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But that's a quick overview of the companies of our former students, of our alumni. This is also an overview for you for the alumni from the bachelor who decided to pursue the study and to do a master degree. So this is a sample of the universities, actually the universities where they are now or they've been to for the masters. So it's pretty obvious that this international experience does not stop after the bachelor, and it goes on afterwards. And now I guess the floor is yours, Gianluca, for the admission process. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Manon. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. My name is Gianluca. I work in the admissions office in the Turin campus. I'm based in Italy. So thank you, Manon, for the presentation of the program. And now I would like, for the next few minutes that we have together, I would like to go with you through the application process. So going from the presentation of the program, the contents of the program, to the, let's say, more practical procedures that you have to go through if you decide to apply to our program. So as you can see, you can apply through different channels to our program, even if we suggest to apply directly through our website. So the application process basically is divided in two parts. The first one is the online application, which you can start directly through our website. So you basically need to register to the platform, and you can start your online application. So the online application is basically the part of your application where you upload all the documents that we need to evaluate your profile. So basically, you need to provide some documents, which are basically your transcripts from the last 3 years of your education. So if you are in your last year of high school, that means that you have to provide the transcripts from the last 3 years of your high school. If you are already attending your first year of university, then we need your transcripts from the first year of your university and the last 2 years of your high school. Then we need a personal statement, which needs to be written in English. So basically, the personal statement is a letter that you write explaining why you are interested in the program and why you decided to start the application to the school. The personal statement is also where you explain why you think you are the right candidate for the program and why. And then we need the academic reference, which is basically a recommendation form from one of your professors. In this sense, we will help you to get the academic reference. So basically, you just need to insert the email of your professor, and then we will take care of contacting the professor and getting the academic reference from them. So basically what we need from you at this point is just his or her email address, and then we'll take care of everything. Then moving to the language certificates, well, as Manon has anticipated in the presentation of the tracks that you have available, we need different language certificates. So the first one I would like to talk about is the English language certificate, which is necessary for everyone, unless you, of course, are English native speakers, or you have been studying in an IB program or in an American curriculum, or at least 3 years of your education entirely in English. Otherwise, you will need to get a C1 level of English to be admitted into the program. So, namely, what are the certificates of English that we accept? You can see them in the slide. So we accept the TOEFL, the IELTS, or the Cambridge Advanced. And you will have time until August. If you're planning to start in September this year, you will have time until the end of August to get the English certificate if you don't have it yet. But we will talk about this a little later, just to give you some more tips about this. Other language certificates that we need are basically the French certificate, a B1 level of French or Spanish, if you want to go to Madrid or Paris in the second year. These are the certificates that we need in terms of languages. And then, of course, we need your curriculum vitae, your resume, just to get a better idea of who you are, your experience, and where you come from, basically. This is the online application part. So the part where you upload all the documents. Then we receive your documents, we evaluate them, and if you are in line with the requirements, you will be invited to the admission session, which is the second step, and which is basically an interview. Of course, we have, as you know, we have different campuses in Europe. So different campuses are in charge of the evaluation of the applications of different countries. So depending on the country where you are based, you will be contacted by a different campus. So when you close the online application, you will be automatically contacted by the right campus. So don't worry about that. You don't need to decide by whom you will be contacted. We will take care of that. So basically, the admission session consists of the personal interview with two people from our staff, and in some campuses, you might be asked to take a logic test, the SHL test. Okay, so as I was saying, different campuses are in charge of different applications. So depending on the countries where you are based, you will be contacted by different campuses. In particular, now we are talking about the Berlin campus and the Turin campus. So talking about the Berlin campus, here you can see the next admission dates that the Berlin campus is organizing, which means that if you want to apply to the ESCP Bachelor in Management program, you will have, and if you are based in the countries that you can read in the list, you will have the option to take the admission test on July the 3rd, July 24th, and August 14th. On the upper line, you see the deadlines for the online application, which means, let's say, you are based in Poland, let's say, and you want to take the test on July the 3rd, then you will need to conclude your online application by June 24th. If you conclude the application by that day, then the Berlin campus will contact you and will give you all the next pieces of information that you need for the further steps, okay? So these are the next admission tests that will take place in the Berlin campus. Moving to the Turin campus. Unfortunately, we have just one admission test left, which will take place on July the 20th. And then you will need to close the application before July the 6th. If you are based in the countries listed in the upper right corner of the screen. So this was just to give you an idea of the dates that you have, but of course we can come back later on this point if you need more information. And you can find all the dates and all the calendars for the different campuses on our websites. So if you visit the website and go to the admission section, you will find the calendars and you will have the dates there. Okay. Then after the interview, let's say you get admitted into the program, then you receive an offer from us, which means that we give you the opportunity to enroll the program. And basically what the next step is you deciding whether to enroll the program or not. But before that, you can apply for the scholarship. So at this point, you will already have completed your online application. You have taken your interview. You have been admitted into the program. Now you can apply for the scholarship. On the right side of the slide, you can see the fees that we have. So we have different fees depending on the citizenship that you have. These scholarships are the same for everyone. So you basically can apply for the scholarship, which can cover up to 50% of the tuition fee. There is an update on the scholarships, but we are going to see it in a few minutes. So basically, you will receive an answer about the scholarship before you decide whether to enroll or not. So you apply for the scholarship, which are provided on the basis of your merit, so how the admission test went, and on the basis of your financial situation. These are the two main criteria that we keep in mind when we evaluate your request of the scholarship. You will receive the answer for the scholarship before you pay the deposit. So when you pay the deposit, you already know how much you are going to get of the scholarship. And finally, I would like to go through a few updates that we have due to the COVID-19 situation that we are living nowadays. So the current situation changed things a little bit. Not much in terms of admissions. So we are still going with the admissions. So we are evaluating the applications, we are taking interviews, so there's no problem in that sense. I just would like to give you some tips on the practical steps that you have to take. So as I was saying, we need, as a mandatory requirement, we need an English test certification. I know that at this moment, many IELTS or TOEFL centers have been closed because of the COVID-19, but the IELTS and the TOEFL have started doing the tests online. So in this slide, the first 2 points basically provide you with the links that you need to get more information about this. You can take the test, both the IELTS indicator and the TOEFL at home version. You can take them by home, so you can take them online. You will receive the results and you can send them to us and we accept them. So there's no need for you to take the test like on site. So if you don't have the possibility to take the test on site, you have this option to take them online and we will accept it, no problem. If you are going, just pay attention because neither the IELTS nor the TOEFL are expendable if you are planning to go to the UK and you come from a non-EU country. So if you need a visa to go to UK, then you will need to take a specific test which will allow you to get the visa for the UK. So we organize an in-house test organized by the London campus. So if you, let's say you come from a non-EU country and you need to go to London in the first year, then we will contact you and we will help you to organize the in-house test with the London campus. Then, in terms of diplomas, we know that some of you might not get the final diploma in time when you finish this academic year. If your school is not able to provide them to you, there's no problem. As long as we have your grades, so your transcripts, if you get only the transcripts, you can send the transcripts to us tell us, look, our school won't provide us with the official diploma until, let's say, October or whenever, it's fine. We can base our evaluation on the transcripts that you have. We know that this is a really particular situation, so we are trying to meet you, every one of you, halfway. And then finally, sorry, I was skipping this, but this is quite important. Talking about the scholarships, I told you that the scholarships can cover up to 50% of the tuition fees. We have implemented another scholarship, which is the scholarship for the COVID-19, which means that we can add a 20% scholarship for students whose families have been particularly affected or struck by the COVID-19 situation. So we, of course, we will need more documents and more certifications for that, but there is this option as well. So just know that there might be an additive 20% scholarship to the 50% scholarship that we can provide. And then finally, just talking about what's going to be like the next academic year. Generally, of course, students would come to the campus, have their classes in the campus and the group works in the campus. We are looking to a situation where this won't be feasible, at least in the first few weeks or months of the new academic year, but we are coping with the situation, which means that we have organized ourselves to have all the classes online, the necessary classes online. So basically, you won't lose any class or any activity organized by the school. So what we are looking at is letting you guys back to the campus when possible, of course, and then it depends really on the campus that you decide, because it depends on the government decisions of every country. But what we are planning to do is letting you guys come back to the campus and letting you take the theoretical classes probably online, and then the group works or the necessary works or activities that you have to take in the campus on the campus, which means that we will organize the activities on the campus, letting you guys in the campus in small groups and guaranteeing your security in every space of our campuses. So don't worry about that. And in terms of dates, so just to give you an idea on when the classes and the program will start. The classes both in London and in Paris in the first year, they will start on September 14th. So this is the fixed date that we have for the start of the new academic year. So thank you guys for your attention. Here in this slide, you can see the contacts, both for the Turin campus and the Berlin campus. So these are the contacts of me and Manon. If you have any questions that we will not be able to answer today because of a time matter, just feel free to contact us anytime for whatever reason, so that we can help you. We will be more than happy to help you, of course. So thank you everyone for your attention. And now I think we can move to the questioning time. I would like also to introduce Yara, who is one of our student ambassador studying. Hi, Yara. Thank you for being with us today. And thank you, everyone.
Perfect. So, okay.
Okay, so, yeah, sorry.
You want to start, Gianluca?
Okay, so going through the questions that we have received, Yara is with us today to help us, giving you more pieces of information if we can. Of course, she has been experiencing ESCP Bachelor in Management for the last 3 years. So For some points, I would say she's more expert than me and Manon because she has lived the program in person. So she could be actually, she will actually answer all your questions. So the first question that we have is, can we study the whole program in only one specific country? Actually, you cannot. The rule is that you change the campus every year. And there is a reason for that, because we want you to experience as many experiences in foreign countries as you can, which means that you will have the chance to study in 3 different countries, which means meeting professors from 3 different campuses and meeting companies in 3 different campuses, in 3 different countries, sorry. You will have the internships, if you want to, every year, which means that you can actually take internships in 3 different countries during your bachelor, which makes a great experience for you. And it will look awesome on your CV, of course. You will gain a lot of experience and you will learn how to work in different cultural contexts. If you, Yara, I'm asking you maybe if you want to talk about your experience. So where did you study, and if you have some comments on if you like the idea of changing country every year?
Yes, so just to introduce myself really quickly, my name is Lara. I'm from Lebanon, Canada and Ivory Coast. And my track, personally for ESCP, was the Paris, Turin, Berlin track. So yes, to go back to that idea of traveling, for my personal experience, it's actually one of the main reasons why I decided to join the program, the Bachelor in Management of ESCP, rather than other business schools or other universities. Because for me, I already, let's say before going into the program, thought and knew that this would be a really incredible experience to be able to live, not only experience through other people, but actually live in a different country and experience the culture there, to see how the job market is there, and then how also it was very interesting personally to see how culturally adapted everything was in different campuses academically. So how the teachers from Berlin were different than the teachers from Turin. So for me personally, before coming to the program, it was one of the main decision factors for me, that idea of just changing country every year. And now after the 3 years, even more so, because I think that it was an amazing experience, both on a personal level, but also on a professional level. Because, so for example, as Gianluca mentioned about the internships, I had the opportunity to do my internship in Milan when I was doing my year in Turin. And so one that really helped me to take on the Italian language, because it's something to be learning it in the classroom, and then it's something else to go out in the country and speak it when you go to the restaurant or when you are learning and everyone around you is speaking in Italian. So it was very interesting for me to be able to have that extra language that I never really thought I could pick up, but thanks to the whole experience of ESCP, was actually able to manage quite well at the end. And on the other hand, it was very interesting for me to meet, especially Milan being such a, and the fact that basically Turin is 1 hour away from Milan. I don't know if everyone knows that a bit, but so it was one of the biggest capitals in the world, and it was really interesting for me to be able to have that work experience there. And I was extremely well supported in the campus. So I also kind of saw another question that asks about the role of the university with the internships. So as was mentioned a bit during the presentation, we have career services, and they're very supportive in every campus, basically to kind of propose some internship offers that they receive constantly, but also more to this, to help us with anything that is related to documentation and all the basically technicalities about having to adapt to a different country. So the university really supports with that. Of course, you have to make your own effort to look for the internship, to apply, but you have a lot of options coming from the campuses, a lot of career fairs, a lot of presentations of companies also, and that is extremely interesting, especially in Europe, because it's such an open continent, and everything, basically all the countries, all the cultures, all the businesses basically coming together. And I think that it's very important in business in general to have that adaptability. So after changing countries every year, it's something that becomes quite natural for you. So yes, that is about the changing countries every year. If you have any specific questions also about the track that I did, if you want, in general relating to Paris, Turin, or Berlin, also I'm welcome to answer them.
Thanks a lot, Yara. So next question. If our school is a certified English school, do we still need the TOEFL or IELTS? Same question for IB school. Gianluca?
Let's start from the IB program. Well, if you come from, the rule is that everyone needs to provide an English language certification. We have exceptions, of course. So if you come from an IB program, or let's say a native curriculum or an American curriculum in general, then you would be exempted from the English certification. The general rule that you can stick up to is if you have studied entirely in English for at least the past 3 years of your education, then you won't need to provide the TOEFL or the IELTS. So when you provide the transcripts of your school, if we see that your school is in your school, the classes are taught in English entirely, and you have been attending that school for the past 3 years at least, then you won't need to provide the English language certification. If you don't come from an English curriculum, basically, so if you don't come from an IB program, an American program, or a Canadian program, then you will need to provide the English certification, okay? And then the next question is if it's possible to transfer university credits. Well, the answer is yes and no. I mean, if you decide, let's say, you're attending your first year of university, and you decide to change your track and you want to move to ESCP, then we need to see your transcripts, so the exams that you have already taken in your present university, and we need to see the syllabi of your exams, of your courses that you have attended in your current university, so that we can evaluate the case. But actually, it's a case-by-case decision, depending on the university you're from, depending on the program that you have been attending, and depending on the background that you already have. So I would say for this, if you have any doubts and you are thinking about it, I would suggest that you contact us, sending us your transcripts and the syllabi of your courses, and we can give you a more detailed answer, actually.
The next question is, how old should I have when you? Actually, so most of our students join us after high school. They have 17 to 18, they are 17, 18 years old. We do have, as Gianluca mentioned just now, we do have older students who started working after high school or a program, and then they realize that they don't really fit in that program, and they prefer transferring to ESCP, to the Bachelor. So I would say the range, correct me if I'm wrong, Gianluca or Yara, but I would say the range is 17, 18 till 22 years old in the program.
Yeah, that's the average age that we have on the program. Actually, we can accept you up to, I would say, 24 years old. But yeah, as Manon was saying, the average age is 22. So I would say more between 17, 18, up to 22 years old. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for the next one. What requirements are needed to have a scholarship? So I guess I can add up to that. So Gianluca really well explained this part. So as he said, we evaluate your file, your application, scholarship application regarding 2 criteria, which are your grades and also your financial situation. So the grades or merit can grant you up to 10% of the annual tuition, and your financial situation, so which means prove your parents' income, for example. That's an example of documents we ask, can grant you up to 40%. Combined, it makes up to 50% of the annual tuition that can be granted. And as Gianluca also added, is that due to COVID-19 situation, ESCP is exceptionally willing to grant 20% extra of scholarship for the students who make the wish, who express this distress, I would say, due to the COVID-19 situation. So of course we need more proofs of that, of this, of how your family can be affected by this COVID-19. And it's also good to know that it's 20% extra for the first year of your education with us. I think I got it. What do you think, Gianluca?
Actually,
Okay.
yeah. Of course, if you have more questions about this topic, just feel free to, or if anything is unclear enough, just feel free to add more questions and we will try to explain us better. Yeah. And there is another question about the English certification. So the question is, do you accept Duolingo test or only IELTS and TOEFL? The Duolingo test is actually not accepted by us, just because it wouldn't help you with the with getting the visa. So you would have problems with the visa. So we decided not to accept it. So the only certifications that we accept at the moment are the TOEFL, the IELTS, and the Cambridge. But I would say at this point, the fact that both the IELTS and the TOEFL started the online exams made things a little easier if you haven't the certification yet. So you wouldn't, you shouldn't have any problems in getting the certification on time. So there's no problem for that. And then moving to the accommodation, actually there is a question about the accommodation, and on this topic I would ask Yara's help. So the question is, does the program include a campus for living? Well, we call them campuses, but don't imagine like American style campuses. Because basically most of our campuses are in the city centers or near the city centers, so we wouldn't even have enough space for building dorms. So we don't have dorms inside the campuses. The campuses are the buildings where you basically take classes and spend the most of your day if you want to study, if you want to have group works, etc. But we don't have dorms inside the campuses. The options that you might have in terms of accommodation are either renting your own apartment, and many of our students do that. So they get in contact with each other, and we try to help them in this sense. So getting them in contact with the Facebook groups, the WeChat, the WhatsApp groups, etc. They get in contact with each other, they find 1 or 2 roommates, and they find an apartment together. The other options is we have agreements with different student houses around the campuses. So if you are planning not to get your own apartment, but you want to stay in a student house, that's a possibility also. And when you enroll the program, we will send you some materials where you can find some tips on how to find an accommodation, both in Paris and in London. But as I was saying, I would like to ask Yara's help. So if you want to talk about how you found an accommodation in the different cities, and if it was hard, if you had any problems, etc.
Yes, so for me on a personal level, I actually for years tried a little bit of everything. So basically for the first year, when I was in Paris, as Gianluca said, so basically there are also student residences, especially in the big student cities such as Berlin, Paris, and London. So I know that, for example, in the first year, some of my friends in London, most of the ESCP students are in, there's this big student residence, so where you have the chance to also live in the same apartment building as other students from ESCP. And in Paris, there was also some student residences that were also recommended by ESCP. So I followed these recommendations from the university for the first year, and I was living on my own in an apartment. Then some of my friends decided to also do some flat shares for the first year. So that is the great thing also about once you get accepted into the bachelor program of ESCP, you're basically put in a Facebook group with the members that are going to be in your cohort. And then from there on, everyone kind of introduces themselves before going on campus and gets to know each other. And so it's a great way to kind of see who is going to be following your track, and then maybe chat with them and see if you get along. And from there on, you can decide if you would like to do a flat share with them or with some locals, for example, if you want to learn the language. So I know a lot of my friends did that, and there are a lot of options. Some people, they have homes. So some French people, for example, have their house in Paris that they would be renting it to other people. So there's a really big network, especially with the students of ESCP, to find housing. Then the second year in Turin, I personally rented an apartment with two of my friends. So I had two of my best friends that we met in Paris, and we got really close. So we decided to do flat share together. And then the last year in Berlin, I was in student residence that is sort of like it's called the student hotel, basically. I don't know if some of you know it. And it's also, it follows a bit the dorm system, let's say in America. It's not related to ESCP, but there are some offers and some promotions for the prices offered because you're an ESCP student. So I would say that exactly every year, every country and city also has a different experience, because in Berlin, I was living a bit far from the campus. In Paris and Turin, I was a 10-minute ride, metro ride, tram ride away from the campus. So it really depends on every city and the experience that you're looking on a personal level. But either way, ESCP supports you a lot with that, because there's a housing platform where you basically can see where other students lived before, and then they also have a lot of partnerships with student residences. So it's not, I mean, all of us in the end found super nice homes, and it was great.
Great. Thanks a lot for the very detailed answer. We can move on to some next question quickly. We have a few minutes left. Let's see. How many bachelor programs do you have in your school? So we have one. Easy answer. So we have this Bachelor of Science in Management. I will go for the next one. I'm not sure. Do you require a foundation year for international students? I'm not sure about this one.
We don't require a foundation year. So as long as you finish your high school, you can directly apply for the bachelor. So you don't need to go through the foundation year. And I just take the chance to answer really quickly to a question that I've seen. There is someone asking about Albania because it wasn't listed in the countries that we showed. Albania is handled by the Turin campus, which means that if you are based in Albania and you are applying to the bachelor, you will be contacted by the Turin campus, and your application will be evaluated by us in Turin.
Do the tuition fees in all countries are the same? Actually, no. We have two different fees, tuition fees. For EU student residents and member of the Free Trade Association, it is 14,600 euros per year. And for the others, non-EU and non-FTA, it is 20,700 euros per year. And then, of course, you can apply for the scholarship if you wish so, once you got admitted to the Bachelor.
The question was if the tuition fees are the same depending on the campus that they choose. And if that's the question, the answer is yes. You won't have any differences in the tuition fees depending on the campus that you choose. All the campuses have the same fees, because basically the fees cover the academic part, not the accommodation. So the academic part is the same for everyone. Then, of course, the extra fees, let's say the accommodation and the living costs, of course, will vary depending on the city that you decide to go to. Then just to give some more details about the IB programs. There are two questions about the IB programs. One is if the IB programs that have English as a language B are considered yet too, and the answer is yes, of course. And the minimum score for the IB program, so the basically the requirements for students coming from the IB programs. So the requirements are, what we look at is basically your transcripts, of course. So we want to see the last 3 years of your career. The predicted score should be no lower than 32. So we aim at 35, 36, but it shouldn't be lower than 32. So as long as you have at least 32 as a predicted score, you can apply. And then in terms of maths, so mathematics requirements, we need at least 5 in standard level maths, okay? Then these are the two main requirements that we have. Some students sometimes ask if they have to take like economics or economics related subjects, business, etc. It's not necessary. I mean, it's not a requirement. My answer usually is, of course, if you are planning to study management in your university and you are already interested in those subjects and those topics, of course, that wouldn't hurt to start studying those topics in your high school. So if you get the chance to go and study business or economics in your high school in the IB program, why not?
I think we don't have any more questions. Well,
for taking your time and answering everyone's question, and thanks to our audience for being so proactive today. We hope we managed to get you excited about the idea of studying at ESCP, and we definitely encourage you to get in touch with Manon, Gianluca, and Diara. On behalf of SRT, I wish you a wonderful day. I hope to see you soon at our next webinars. In fact, we have one more starting in 1 hour with ESCP Turin and Madrid. So from the bottom of your screen, you may just join us and keep talking to the rest of the representatives. And now I would like to once again see that beautiful video to get the vibe of being an international student at ESCP, with which I wish everyone a wonderful day. Thank you, Manon, Iara, and Gianluca for your time.
Thank
you. Attention. Bye. Bye.